This session will be chaired by Dr. S.R. Rao. He is the advisor at the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. He is flanked by eminent panelists. Sir, this is the fourth session in the order, and the arrangement is each speaker will speak for 10 minutes, and then at the end we will have the question answers to the questions raised by the audience. I request chair to come and give a brief introduction as well as start this session.
Regret for starting the session a bit late because of assembling people. I was myself stuck up in the traffic. I am Dr. Rao, advisor in the Department of Biotechnology, Ministry of Science and Technology. And it's always a great pleasure to come to this temple built by Professor Swaminathan. And we take a lot of inspiration and motivation. In fact, from 1995, I have been visiting this temple, and we worked closely with Professor Swaminathan on several issues, bringing legislation and many policy issues. I mean, it was a great experience with him personally to negotiate some of the key issues at the national level. The fight is still on. I was just telling him, the fight is still on. I hope the dreams will be fulfilled. One of the areas which DBT actually started is much earlier than anybody else, with the advice of Professor Swaminathan, is the Golden Rice program. We got, along with Dr. Manju Sharma, who was the secretary at that time, we went to Ingo Portica's lab. He saw the vitamin A rich rice. He said, can we take it to India? So then the whole story started, very complicated one. And in terms of licenses, patents, movement of material, genetically engineered material coming to India, hundreds of issues. When we got it free of cost and freedom to operate from all the patents. And we had a dilemma that how to go about, where to introgress. You know where this was all decided? In this institute under the chairmanship of Professor Swaminathan. So we started introgression program. Line by line, what is suitable for local needs have been identified by Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Directorate of Rice Research. That's where I started the journey of biofortification. It is highly justified that I am again on this stage to share with you. Then we moved on. Golden rice still is taking time. The field trials are on in Philippines and Bangladesh. We are also planning, but there are some technical issues, if not regulatory issues, and also delivery issues and many things which are common to any biofortification program. Then what we did was, in DBT after the golden rice and the inspiration we got from most of the discussions that were held in MSSRF early 2002, the Indian Parliament was put before the budget of $15 million for biofortification by the Department of Biotechnology. Basically for rice, wheat, maize for over 5 years. We initiated in the DBT and biofortification program, particularly for iron, zinc, and provitamin A. This was one of the earliest programs which one can think of in this country, and all these had a blessings of this institute and the Professor Swaminathan, even the planning phase onwards. One of the program was in fact coordinated from this center by Dr. Ajay Perida. After that, in 2007 and 12, we went on to groundnut, pigeon pea, and also sorghum, funding ICAR-CTCRI. And one of the important things was how to blend ourselves with the Harvest Plus program. And that marriage, the negotiation rather, or the engagement started in this very platform, in this institute. Harvest Plus and Indian Biofortification Program combinedly had a meeting. And 7 years ago, like this only I was speaking about from the perspective of Indian Biofortification Program. It's a glad that it is like a homecoming again on this issue of a major thing where farming system for nutrition is very important topic. So as a result, the Chhattisgarh University has developed a zinc high-rich zinc, and they have in fact recently made 5,000 demonstrations in the farmers' fields, and macronutrient-rich maize and also protein-rich maize is already in AICRP trials. Very interestingly, ICR also joined in the 2005 or so, and the AICRP rice recognized that how to evaluate. So the whole process of evaluation development was integrated into DBT, ICR, and then university system. That is one of the best achievements. Most of the techniques were genetic engineering, molecular assisted breeding, but now as we move into the future, because this is the session on technology interventions, there is a lot of hope on bringing CRISPR-Cas9 and genome editing into this arena of bio and fortification. I was just looking at the 2017 August paper towards CRISPR-Cas9 crops, bringing together genomics and genome editing, particularly addressing certain issues related to biofortification. Sometimes a small mutation by CRISPR-Cas9 at nucleotide level can bring out large changes. So there are some small regulatory issues, there are capacity building issues in terms of using genome editing. We'll discuss as we go by. And this is already there are a lot of products using genome editing in the pipeline, even cisgenics, grafting, then site-directed nucleases, particularly 1 and 2, and countries like Argentina, Netherlands, Canada, they are all utilizing this technology. And apple, canola, cassava, cereal grains are also being attempted for various purposes in terms of trait improvement. So Indian regulatory system is also thinking how to whether the CRISPR-Cas9 technologies, which can be used for all these purposes, should be regulated or not. So we had a lot of thinking. According to our law, there is no question of a debate whether it should be regulated or not, like any other countries. It is regulated item, because our definition, somehow who has written in 1989, says that removal of heritable material, deletion by genetic engineering process is also regulated. So we are regulated. It's a regulated item. But the only thing is, within the regulated item, we are thinking of site-directed nucleases too, which will just affect few mutations, few nucleotides, could have a level 0, level 1 type of regulation, where we'll have most of it is a desk review. Whereas the complicated deletions or insertions, long sequences, particularly involving site-directed nucleases 3, could have a general implications like any other genetically engineered crop. So this is a scheme which I will not explain, but simply to say that when 1 or 2, 3 or 5 nucleotides are being intervened, there's some limit of it, and it resembles more or less like any other mutation experiment, then I think the regulatory stringency will be less compared to the complicated genome editing processes also involving insertion. This policy is still developing, but I just like to leave it to you one point, that in 1993, when all these things were talked, there were some challenges which were addressed by some partially were posed for biofortification. Can biofortification program really succeed in future? So these are some questions. What are the possible magnitude of change and in the genomes of the major staple crops? Would selection of micronutrient enriched staple food crops in breeding programs affect productivity? Is there any large environment genotype interaction? Would farmers grow and consumers accept them? Would breeding for micronutrient enriched staple should be sustainable? What should be the effect of processing and cooking? What should be the costs and benefits to the society? Some of these questions have been largely addressed. Some of them are partially addressed. Some of them are not addressed. I think one of the things is, if you see the coverage of crops as per Harvest Plus, still there are many countries where the biofortified crops are yet to reach the farmers, and whereas the simple iron fortified rice in India, we have reached about 7 states. So the delivery mechanism is well understood here, and whereas in biofortification, we have to develop a mechanism. But there is a large variety, large diversity in terms of phenotype and nutrient content in case of lot of millets. Still there is a lot of opportunity. You can see in one of our Indo-Swiss program, the minimum level of zinc was 0.68, maximum level of 23.3 in Ragi. Similarly with zinc, 0.88 and 12.31, but it has got lot of phytase activity like any other millet. So we have a program. I just to take home last message is that we debated about that when a technology is developed, the technology thinks in his own terms of genomic, genome editing, gene transfer, marker assisted breeding. He doesn't have a larger gamut of up to delivery system. He doesn't have a feedback from the stakeholders. What type of technology is good, what type of thing. So in Indo-Swiss program, one of the programs is also operated from here in Kohli Hills, that is biofertilizer program, but this is a Ragi program. This program is modeled around participatory value chain, where all the stakeholders at the outside, shell stakeholders, they will be interacting with all the members of the hardcore genetics labs, genome labs, and also the people who are screening, the breeders. And on this round, you can see on the right, there is a big oval shaped structure. The socio-economists are also integrated. Initially, when we integrated socio-economic researchers and then nutritionists in this program, so the biotechnology guys were very jittery. He said that, why do you need these people? But 2 years later, when they interacted, they found that this feedback helped them to alter their objectives and experimental strategies. So therefore, this integrated model will tailor to the needs of delivery mechanisms if we integrate from the very beginning of technology development. The last one is that there is also a bigger thinking about standard and regulatory aspects of biofortification. For example, if you have a zinc added to any other fortification programs, chemical fortification, you have limits set by the Food Safety Authority and also Codex, and many people address. So in Food Safety Authority, the issue has to be taken so that it also helps us to do the claim as well as the labeling. So that will encourage a lot of, and there are efforts at the international level involving Codex and FAO, WHO. Harvest Plus is also struggling. I think we have taken up this in an advisory committee of Food Safety Standards Authority to think about biofortified crops apart from the chemical fortification. Thank you very much. I'll stop there. These are some issues just I am flagging, that there are delivery mechanisms, when you do technology intervention, the technologist has to engage from the beginning. In my experience, everybody that is concerned with the end products. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Vilas Tonope is the director of ICAR Indian Institute of Millet Research, Hyderabad. He is with the sorghum programs since 1990. He has also served as a head division of seed science and technology at IRI New Delhi. He had his graduation and post-graduation from US Bangalore Dharwad campus and PhD from TNAU. He did his postdoctoral from University of Queensland, Australia. When I go through his, brief biodata, there are a lot of awards and other things. For the sake of time, I leave the stage to Dr. Tonope now. Sir, please come.
Professor Swaminathan, sir, and a lot of my teachers on the other side of the podium, Chairman, sir, and fellow speakers. I take this opportunity to put forth before you certain aspects, both technological and policy opportunities, to address farming system for nutrition through millets, because these are the mandate crops which we handle at Indian Institute of Millets Research, Hyderabad. The main issue what we are talking about is the technological interventions. As Chairman said, the range of biotechnological tools, gene editing technologies, the biofortification at one side, but millets as a whole, they are naturally biofortified crops which we need to bring them to the food plate, which is a Herculean task which every one of us really need to do, put together. But these crops are the best candidate crops as it stands in the climate change scenario, as Dr. Swaminathan has put it, that the seeds of millet revolution have been already sown. In the last 10-15 years, the efforts that have gone in the 3 major millets and 8 other minor millets put together, we would like to make it a big picture in terms of the millets for nutrition. The fact is there are 5 growth triggers today. One is millet consumption is increasing for the fact that the lifestyle diseases have taken a major toll, and these nutritional aspects for diabetes and other lifestyle diseases, the nutrition in terms of millets is gaining importance. The second trigger is in the health and the wellness industry, which is growing at the rate of 11%. Millets have a big role to play. The third is the processed food, a great opportunity. In fact, it is 1,75,000 crore industry. In fact, for the millets, we take at the tune of 10 to 12% in terms of processed food, globally put together, runs into lakhs of crores of rupees. And fourth is in the climate change scenario, each of these millets require only less than 350 to 400 millimeters of water, which they complete the life cycle and they assure both grain and fodder to the dryland communities. And the fifth is the export opportunities. World is looking for alternative grains which are gluten-free, nutritious, which improve the gut microbe and provide the wholesome health. That is what is the main importance, where the nutrition from millets becomes very important. In India, it is a pan-India process, though the crops are region-specific, but we need to really work on the region-specific ecosystem approaches. If we see the total scenario, we really find that the area has come down by almost 50%, but the production has increased by 32% and the productivity by 158% in millets. The crop improvement has really contributed. Even though the area has reduced by 50%, the productivity has increased. These noble grains, whether in semi-arid tropics or tribal or hill areas, they are the staple foods. And the major problems, the technological interventions, what we need to address are totally different in these crops than what we talk of the other crops or other cereal grains and pulses put together, which we will come to this point later. And the main aspect, what I said, naturally biofortified, they will dwarf any other grain in terms of their nutrition. Whether it is from protein to the calcium to anything, they are naturally biofortified and they provide the wholesome nutrition. But coming to the domestic consumption and also the per capita consumption, the compound annual growth rate of millets in India has seen only about 1.1% growth. But the annual average growth of millet for consumption between 1999 and 2016 has increased by 4.56%. We presume that our estimates, it will be the growth at the rate of 11% now onwards for millets put together, for which we need to bring in the technological interventions which we will look at. But if we really attempt in terms of policy interventions working through the state governments, all of us put together, I think we will work about the issue of food energy deficiency both in rural and urban areas, which is alike, and in fact it is becoming more, it is not differentiating between rich and poor, because entire food variety on our plates revolves around 2 or 3 major grains: rice, wheat, maize, and the soybean. So we need to diversify the culinary aspects of our food variety. In order to have this, we need to have the millets, which have the low glycemic index put together. So we need to bring them into the food plate. Therefore, millets are crucial for greater life expectancy because they work on range of lifestyle diseases and also other non-communicable diseases which are very, very important today. Coming to the strategies we need to really work at. It's not easy to garner around the farmers and put them together. Creating self-help groups, federating the farmers and linking them to the markets, it is a huge issue. It needs to happen at regional levels, the non-governmental organizations, the government machinery, the institutions really put the efforts together in order to create a block level federation of farmers who link them together as producers in group, then link them to the markets. Second is the awareness campaigns for improving the demand. Then is the access to markets and establishment of the seed centers, the community seed centers. But before going to the technological intervention, I would like to impress upon two things. Bridging the yield gaps in millets should be our major emphasis. There are varieties, farmer saved varieties, the newly developed varieties, but the yield gap between the station yields and the FLD yields and in the farmers yields, we find there is a 50% difference. If we can make the intervention in terms of improved agronomies, better seed, and the uptake of these things by the farmers, I think we are going to have the additional input of about 2,207 quintals of additional output. And bridging these yield gaps put together in next 3 to 4 years, we predict there will be additional 7.8 million quintals of total millets that could be produced if we make the simple effort of agronomic intervention and the improved cultivation practices in the existing areas. Bringing wastelands with millets is going to really add 48 million tons if we are going to use just 15 to 18% of the wastelands for the millets. Lot of areas under the military farms, the government lands, and all these things, millet mission as a whole in the country could come, we are going to have 48 million tons. If that is so, we are going to be the real millet exporters to the world, which the world really needs today. So what we need is a sustainable value chain in the millets. The gaps are lack of market, the processing intervention, and federating of the farmers. If we can do this with the community seed systems which are self-sustainable, we are going to achieve this job. So our interventions should be with all the stakeholders. Then only the sustainable value chains could be created. We have impressive range of food recipes, both traditional and as well as the value-added products, whether it is the puffs or the flakes or the extruded products, everything is available. We are technology ready for the millets. What is required is the backward integration of these production houses to the self-help groups, the farmer producer organization, the supply chain and the value chain gets established. If we can do that, this technological intervention is going to create a real revolution. Therefore, the first objective should be the productivity enhancement. For this, we need the best of the seed banks. We need to work with the seed saver groups, and the sustainable community seed systems need to be established. Next is the market linkage and the supply chain management. If we really do the backward integration, it is going to happen in a big way. Third is entrepreneurship development. Technologies are ready, whether it is the universities, whether it is with our institutions. So we have a range of entrepreneurs already there. Linking them to the farmers will link the farmers to the markets. That's how the entire capacity building can happen. Creation of awareness needs to happen. Everyone asks today how we can create the demand, generate the demand. People don't know even how to cook the millets. They have not seen the millets. Awareness needs to come, telling people how to cook millets with the novel recipes and telling them these are the things which you can create of any kind of food that you can create with rice and wheat. If that is the case, I think that is a bigger demand generation it would be creating. Popularization through media, awareness through the stakeholders and the policy makers needs to really come into practice. The main technological intervention needed are product-specific cultivars, because processing is the very important aspect. Do we have varieties that gives a good rava? Do we have the varieties that can give you a good processed noodle type? This is what is the things what we need to look at. With the range of farmer varieties, with the low-hanging fruit, will I be able to identify? This is what we are doing at present the processable varieties. Second is development of standards for grains and grades. It is not there. Today, millets that are sold in the market are just like fully polished rice. We have tested their nutritional abilities. Almost 70% of the nutrition is lost. So what should be our processing standard that we really need to look at? Then processing machinery is a bottleneck. Sir, we would like to submit and state that we have developed a processing machinery whose efficiency is to the tune of 90%. For a smallholder farmer, which costs 25 to 30,000 rupees, which can be put as a block level, and that we would be launching it in the next 2 months, which has been studied in a most scientific way with the kind of processing technology that needs to happen. Then creation of innovative value chain and farmer entrepreneur linkage is an important aspect. Second aspect is what in discussing about the grain, what we forget is the fodder value chain. This is important, fodder security in dry lands. All these millets provide the potential fodder nutri-sources for the cattle basically. Then the promoting the industrial uses, the value chains for the biofuels and the ethanol, both first and second generation is the one of the issues we need to really have. I think we need to forget today the requirement of the price in terms of minimum support price. Let us not do that. If we go behind minimum support price, we are not going to create a millet industry. If we harp on the aspect of developing federations, linking the farmer to the market, I think he will get a better price than what MSP would offer. Therefore, we need to really look at this particular point, and I would like to conclude by saying that we have the opportunity for international trade markets, and the final sum up is resurrecting millets as a super grains. We need to improve supply side factors by addressing the demand side factors, include millet oriented development, then addressing the issue of bridging the yield gap, then enhancing productivity, accelerating the seed replacement rate, and finally all the intervention in terms of machinery and also the value addition. If we can put it together, we will be addressing the strategies from supply side factor, policy factors, price factors, and we would achieve the goal of ensuring legitimate place for millets in the global food baskets. So thank you very much for the opportunity, sir.
The next speaker will be Dr. Archana Mukherjee. She is the director of ICAR Central Tuber Research Institute, ICAR Trivandrum, since April this year. She is the first woman director of the institute. Dr. Mukherjee is an internationally reputed biotechnologist, entering the agricultural research system in '86. Dr. Mukherjee was head of the regional center of CTCRI at Bhubaneswar prior to this. She is the country leader for international network of edible aeroids that operate in 22 countries and recipient of many awards, including the Jawaharlal Nehru Award for Outstanding Contribution in Horticulture, ICAR 2000. The 16 varieties of tuber crops developed by her are widely popular for their climate resilience and nutrient-rich attributes. And with this, I request Dr. Mukherjee to come and make the presentation.
Swaminathan, sir, respected chairperson, other speakers on the dais, and other dignitaries of the dais, it is my proud privilege to speak before a legend professor, Professor M.S. Swaminathan, by whom we are got delighted. Sir, prior to my speech, on behalf of whole of Central Tuber Crops Research Institute staff, and on my personal behalf, I wish you a long, healthy life to guide all of us as an umbrella for not only zero hunger drive, basically today's current need, that nutrition sensitive growth. With this, today I feel after our chairperson S.R. Rao who talked about all crops, last few days we are getting deliberation on this farming system regional consultation, and really I am delighted to listen all the delegates and knowing the country's problem and the problem of the world and the food and nutrition. And when we think of rice, wheat, millet, maize, we, the tuber crops group, feel we are minority. But of course, from that minority group, Professor Swaminathan, Dr. Dandin gave me some solace, just coining them the future smart food. So with this, and I would like to really boldly to coin here, it is not United Nations and it is not Food and Agriculture Organization who talked recently by 2012, save and grow cassava or tuber crops. This is going to be one of the important ingredient of our diet during 2030 to 2050. It is our professor who has already included much before when FAO and UN is thinking or thought process, and our professor is in action. And we, in international symposium some 10-12 years before when it was in Trivandrum, our beta-carotene sweet potato is already included for nutrition-sensitive growth in our country. So, sir, once again, I gratefully acknowledge your contribution across the world. With this, let me come back that tropical tuber crops. Sustainable option for food and nutrition I purposely gave because we cannot say leave rice, leave wheat, leave millet and just eat sweet potato and cassava. No, not like that. Let us go with seasonal crops. Let us go with inclusive dietary culinary diversity, as Professor rightly pointed out. And now, friends, it is me and who is getting haunted by many of the questions, and now I have much more responsibility being the institute leader. And of course, we have to bring technology, science, environment in coherence. And I felt, no, it is not limitation. We have a lot of opportunities. See our crops, tropical tuber crops. It can grow from the Jammu, Himalayan level to the southern peninsula, Kerala. So everywhere we have the opportunity because of its wide adaptability and growth. But of course, we have the problems. We have to go with correct roadmap and we have to generate technologies. As S.R. Rao sir already told, we have industries program. We have, with my background of tissue culture biotechnology, we have already developed with integrated technology a lot of biofortified crop and also tolerant to biotic and abiotic stresses, which I will highlight in subsequent presentation. We know what this climate challenges, what is going on all around the world, and my earlier career experience in Odisha, always every year one cyclone, and of course the devastating was super cyclone. And recently we all know 2 to 4 degree changes and in our climate, and recent flood in Northeast. Yes, it is not going to be $56 billion for flood compensation in the year coming by 2030. We have to think of all this. And moreover, India live in still villages because 833 million people live in 640,000 villages, and they are all getting affected with these frequent climatic disasters. And what we need climate resilient crop. As Dr. Dandin already told, climate smart food crop. And cassava, see they are how powerful in calorie value. And not only cassava, taro, another group of tuber crops, see their calorie value, and not only they are rich in calorie value. In next slide, you people will be able to see how rich they are in minerals and fibers. See here the approximate composition differences, 1.5 to 5 times they are richer in fiber and minerals, which is the today's coined term, that hidden hunger. They can very well supplement. Of course, some of the tuber crops are deficient in protein, but we can compensate them with incorporation of fish. As Kerala, it is a very delicacy, fish and cassava tuber. And even 5-star hotels, they are going now for really good crop, which was once upon a time is poor man's crop. Here you see the vitamin level, how much it is. Sweet potato much richer in vitamins as compared to carrot and tomatoes, and that's why I gave the cartoon in underneath. whether we should go in a very high-tech, sir, please don't mind, by high-tech CRISPR-9 or Cis9, when we are already having in our genomics, in our germplasm. Here you see the water productivity, for which we are talking that we may go for water for one and or just to get water. See here again tuber crops at the top, and the least amount of yam and cassava has already declared by FAO as drought tolerant crop, and not only by water productivity, they are rich in calorie, they are rich in nutrients. Here again, if we compete with nutrition, maximum number of people can by per hectare can be supported by tuber crops as compared to rice and maize. And for that, ICAR-CTCRI knew that there is importance of this crop, and those days with Professor Swaminathan and other ICAR, they have introduced ICAR-CTCRI in 1963, and slowly it spread its arena to Odisha to just to cater the demand of Northeast. And then slowly we have our AICRP centers in 22 states. And this is, I already told that how adaptive they are. They can grow in any climate. And again, the crops are also very beautiful. Some of them can grow in waterlogged like taro. Some of them can come in drought condition like cassava and yams, and sweet potato with minimal irrigation it can come. And here is our roadmap. They are resilient, but we have to make them more resilient. We have to make them more high-valued crops through our conventional and non-conventional genetic approach. As cassava mosaic is a big problem now, we have with DBT Indotress program for cassava mosaic resistance, and we are also going through conventional breeding. And that way we have developed many technologies. This is the sweet potato improved varieties. Already in my biodata it was told, it is not only me, previous breeders all together, collectively we have developed beta-carotene rich, anthocyanin rich sweet potato. And you see, and the box, it has already mentioned that it is very rich, the sweet potato leaves are rich in lutein, which is the pigment of the retina. Many times we are forgetting, we are just ignoring the top shoots can be used as leafy vegetables. Here again, I highlighted the leaves are richest source of with 15 different types of anthocyanin in plant kingdom, highest amount of anthocyanin, and also the lutein and tubers, they do contain vitamin E, vitamin C. Here is the taro variety, another colocasia, which are rich in zinc and iron. And taro leaves, you know, it can provide you 161% of vitamin A as per RDA, and 11% of its dietary fiber. Purple and orange is further. So this way, this all tuber crops, they are all specialized in their nutritional component, which we have forgotten. They are said forgotten crops. Similarly, the cassava, it is not only calorie, it is rich in B vitamins and beta carotene. And you know, in Maharashtra and Gujarat, why they take every day a piece of elephant foot yam? Just because they contain omega-3 fatty acid, which is only available in animal kingdom, but now it is available except walnut in elephant foot yam. And that with these technologies, we have already intervened in Northeast, and with their value chain, as our previous speaker has already told, taro fresh leaves is 30 rupees kg, but dry leaves, nutrient-rich dried leaves is 300 rupees kg. And same way we have intervened in Odisha, Kandhamal and Koraput district, and we have given them all sorts of training. And here you see only when they are growing rice, but when we intervene with tuber cross-integrated farming for nutrition, they is not only getting all that amaranthus and other beans and other vegetables, their income is increasing by 2.8%, that is more than double. Similar results they got when they had go on for pond system and integrated farming system with fish and also with poultry birds. And that had given them extended employment generation by 12 to 10 days. And this is a picture of Koraput farmers. They are happy and they were already started preparing this. Sir, I will take 2 more minutes. And this is in Odisha coastal belt, and then we have given this our technology in Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and also in Tamil Nadu there. And we have diversified it for Punjab because you know the water is going to be a problem. It is in all states. We had a food festival in Kerala in 2015, and it is our collaboration with MSSRF in Wardha. As we already told, about 22 countries, we have with taro that adaptive climatic need, because it is also nutritionally enriched crop, and we are sharing because food means it is the need for basic need for all. So 22 countries we are sharing the seeds of taro through participatory breeding and evaluation and market value chain. And this is our favorite photograph, which the professor has revived our Lansa program in Odisha in 2013, 23rd November. I still remember the date. And we are helping the farmers by developing the guidelines. That is also a technology to help the custodian farmers. Mr. N.N. Saji is already here, who got the PPVFR award, and we are helped in Kunbi tribe of Karnataka, and they also got the community award this year with support of CTCRI. And we have intervened Navranpur, Odisha district, which is Bureau district for nutrition, with our technology of biofortified sweet potato, and also along with pulses. And we are going zero hunger and nutrition drive, and for that we need multidisciplinary system approach and participation of all other system, whether it is rice, maize, millet, and also organization like MSSRF, DBT, DST, all together. Then we have to go action mode. As our Director General on first day, he said, once the technology is there, we have to go for escalation, and we have to access the ground reality. And I think Professor is giving us the opportunity every year to assess us where we are, how much we have gone ahead. And of course, we can reach zero hunger drive and nutrition security. As yesterday, Dr. Bhavani, Dr. Bamji, and Madam all are talking about when it is women, they really percolate it to the family and also to spread over to the society. So crucial role of women, and we of course need policy advocacy to resolve sensitive issues, and we have to overcome the Asian 3A enigma. And here I will take, sir, with your permission, 1 minute to read it. Women at work, farmers making sure that his wife is working, agronomists monitoring it, sociologists observing the process, anthropologists again process. And I mean to say, it is the woman who at grassroots who is working. Others are mostly in observational process, and probably chairperson is not allowing me to read it out. So, sorry sir, excuse me, with a pinch of salt, please. This is nothing but lack of sense of belongingness. Those who are having sense of belongingness, they can carry forward the technology, they can escalate, they will not mind what is the limitation, they will go ahead. And yes, CTCRI has developed and want to bring smile through nutritional status with these Pandora's boxes of all biofortified crops with the integrated technologies. And CTCRI mission is to integrate tuber crops for national food and nutrition security, for health generation, health benefit, and inclusive growth. And for that, we need support from all of you, including Professor Saminathan's organization and all my colleagues who are present here. Thanks. The drive is on, vision is on. We have to achieve the vision of inclusive growth. And before I conclude, half a minute. Oh, our dear professor, your zero hunger and nutrition drive, the elixir of all of our life. We all are with you. Live long, live long, live long. God bless you. Thank you.
Dr. R. Jagan Mogan is Professor and Head, Department of Food Product Development, Indian Institute of Food Processing, Indian Institute of Crop Processing Technology at Tanjavur. He has 30 years of research and teaching experience in grain processing with food science as a background. Currently, he is working as a professor and head of the Department of Food Product Development and officer in charge for the ICAR-CTCRI Regional Center, Guwahati. He has completed his doctoral degree in food science from Tamil Nadu Agriculture University in 1999. He has been associated in many projects like development of low friction huller. In that particular area, he has developed a lot of instrumentation and so on. With this background, I request Professor Jagan Mogan to come and share his.
And I especially thank our professor for giving the opportunity and all the dignitaries in the dais and of the dais. Actually, I was a little bit called a very late situation yesterday evening, but I have done some work on what our institute, Indian Institute of Food Processing Technology, can provide for the farming community towards the nutrition and other security aspects. So before I just go to what is the thing, I want to brief about our institute. The institute first started with in 1967 by late Dr. V. Subramaniam, who is the founder director of CFTRI, and he started at Thiruvarur, small laboratory for the saving the rain-drenched paddy. So that was the first mandate, and then we have moved up to Indian Institute of Food Processing Technology in Tanjavur, and we are elaborating our activities throughout the country, one at Bathinda and another at Guwahati Regional Center, serving all the 7 states. And I was in charge for that regional center, and now it has been as IAFPT. So this is a small brief about what is the status of our institute. All India level ranking is 87th rank, overall ranking of the institute, and we are all the best in the teaching as well as and best food processing institute in India. These are awarded late 2017. And these are the departments which we are working: food engineering, food packaging, food product, and food safety and quality aspects, and food biotechnology, and primary processing and storage and computational modeling, and few other plannings. So this is our activity is shared with different skills. And what we do is we have almost research and innovations. We have 4 international collaborative work, especially towards the nutritional well-being. And what we have other developments is our mainstay is paddy processing. So in this paddy processing, we have started with farm level processing and handling how to do that, and parboiling. And we are also happy to collaborate with the Korapat village for the village farming small level parboiling unit we have developed from the IACPT elsewhere in PPRC, and done a lot of early added products from the rice and rice testing facilities we have developed. And we have also analyzed throughout India what are the varieties, stable varieties, which are useful for different product developments and for the parboiling system, and what are the new enabling the breeders to get in a better quality paddy to diversify the different things. And non-destructive analysis, it's in high end, but we are looking into a little bit of village level, what is the penetration we can do into the farm level. So non-thermal processing. So non-thermal processing, mainly we go for the UV disinfestation, because now we are using a lot of pesticides and other things. So we have to reduce that, and we have to do some probable alternate techniques which can save our grains as well as kill the insects and make it safe for a longer time. So we have done a lot of work on grain storage technologies for the farm level to the rural, all the levels of industries. And these are the major things: rice, different quality value added products, rice puffing machines, small level, and idli mix, instant idli mix. In the idli, you know, it's in world over, it is a very famous and thing. Now we are making it like pizza, or like we have to make it an instant products. So this one we have achieved very in a short time, and many of the products which we are treating, and millet processing also. There is a lot of people are telling about millets, so we have also done some of the millet products, and which is more acceptable with the common industries. And these are the projects which we are running. And especially I want to tell that jackfruit, it's a very highly perishable. When you take when you open up that jackfruit, it is perished within 3 hours. So we have come up a technology which you can use the 70% of the jackfruit into different value added products. which you can replace with the wheat flour. You can replace the wheat flour with the jackfruit flour. So that is what we have done. So this is a low glycemic as well as high fiber, and many of the nutrients are available, and it is using a livelihood for the rural tribal people. So we have given a technology for that. And honey is the next tribal component, where there are a lot of pesticide residues or something, which different aspects. So we are working on some of the technologies which can authenticate that these are all unifloral, and some of the no residues, antibiotics or nothing is there. So we are doing on certain work which is more useful for the tribal people. And this is the milk processing unit, melamine identification kit, which we have developed, and they are in the validation process, and soon it will be released to the public. And one more project on Indo-UK collaborative nutrition. What is nutrition means? We have around 1,50,000 rice and pulse mills in India, but the byproducts we are not using in a proper way. So we have to take out that byproducts. To prevent that, what are the sensory aspects and sensors? So we have developed a certain, some UK university has developed a sensor. So we are going to adapt that thing, and it will be given to the public and godowns, where you will get the signal of the changes in the grain for the moisture or insect infestation. What are the nutrient loss that can be indicated in the sensor, and it will be indicating you to your mobile, so that you can immediately take action to prevent the loss and loss of the grains. So this is the grain care project. And another big project what we are going to launch on 28th of this month by this farmers, because most of the horticulture crops and agriculture crops go waste on the field itself. For example, if you take tomato, maximum when there is a production, it is lost in the field itself. No change in the habit or what is the process we can do. And same type, onion is a major horticulture crop. So we have done one incubation center, where the farmers can bring process and convert it into value added products, and they can be a processor also. The producer can become a processor. So we have identified certain products, developed some products which they can directly market into different aspects. So these are some of the products. Vacuum packed peeled onion. Usually ladies will be having a problem when you peel the onion. Either the onion will cry or the women will cry. So that because of the price and because of the astringent. So we have developed a small unit which can peel the onion, and it can be marketed to throughout the day. Say for example, it has been placed, this incubation center has been placed in the GST road in the Perambalur district, where every day 1 ton of peeled onion is in demand. In the morning they harvest, and then they peel it and send it to the hotels, all the hotels, and there is a lot of demand for the people and the hotel industries. So these farmers are gaining lot of things. And this is another project. So equipment developed for different products. I will just skip some of the things. And this is a smart warehouse we are going to develop, where the paddy is procured at a moisture content of 22% in some areas, and in 18%. So when there is a high moisture, you cannot store the paddy for a longer time. So immediately it has to be reduced to a safer level, storage level of 14%. So what is the technique we can use is radio frequency dryer. So immediately it will be taken up, and it's stored, dried and stored. I am just skipping a lot of things. So we have and this is a skill development technique. We have almost every food processing incubation center we have. In this one, a lot of small farmers and big industries can also participate. They can use their knowledge, and we help them in processing different products and to marketable level. So whatever that product they have, we can market it. And this one I want to show, this mobile processing unit, food processing unit for the tomato, especially for the tomato. We have developed a processing unit where this unit will be going to the farmer's field itself, and we can process the tomato into a puree or another intermediate product, and that can be sold to the bigger industries. That is the idea for this processing. It's a self-contained, everything, generator, power generation, water cleaning, purification unit, everything is there. So only this you just move to the farmer's field and then you can process it. And food testing laboratory, as you tell, for FSSA is very big issue. So we have developed a food testing laboratory, mobile food testing laboratory, where you can go there and test the product and give a certification. As we are a referral lab, FSSA is a referral lab, so we can give a authenticated certificate. This is safer for the sale and produce. So this is what these two things which we have achieved now. So apart from this, we have liaison office at Guwahati, and we cover all the areas of Northeast. Thank you. And few gadgets which we have developed for the farmers. This is the onion peeling machine and root cutting machine. This is the major activity there. And these are the products. And this is the grain processing and vegetable cleaning. And this is the fish processing unit for the village level. And banana ripening chamber. And idli, instant shrink wrapped idli, which can be stored for 3 months. And these are some of the products for the cashew apple. These are mainly focusing on the tribal people. And the moringa leaf separator. Leaf separator is a very big issue, and then we have done it. And this is can be this dried moringa leaves can be used for different nutraceutical products. So these are the things which we have done. Thank you.
A brief introduction about Dr. K.K. Narayanan. K.K. Narayanan is a regular face at the foundation. Till recently, he was the managing director of Metahelix Life Sciences Limited, a Bangalore-based agri-biotech company that is focused on developing technologies for crop improvement. He is one of the founders of the company, which has now become a part of the Tata Group. Narayanan is trained as a plant breeder and a molecular biologist. He graduated with a PhD in plant breeding and genetics from the Tamil Nadu Agriculture University, Coimbatore. Later, he carried out his postdoctoral work at the Department of Biological Sciences, Stanford University, under the Rockefeller Foundation Fellowship. He returned to India and started his career as a scientist at Spic Science Foundation, Chennai. Later moved to lead the crop transformation and functional genomics programs at the Monsanto Research Center, Bangalore. From there, he started his own company, and he is a member of several committees in the national level, advising on the issues of biotechnologies. With this background, I give it to Dr. Narayanan for his presentation.
Thank you very much, and good morning, friends. During the inaugural session, we heard the ICR DG, Dr. Mahapatra, talking about technology or the outcomes of technology being the starting point for farming systems. It could be varieties, it could be some agronomic practices, it could be post-harvest processing, it could be value addition in different ways. But I am going to, and we all talked about the last 2 days, and also this morning, we have been talking about biofortification, introduction of nutrients into the food system, introduction of new kinds of food, whether it is millets or nutri-cereals or pulses, into the food chain, having a diversity, culinary diversity. But I am going to bring in another option, and that is trying to reduce or eliminate, if possible, some of the anti-nutritional factors which are there existing in the foodstuff, so that the nutritional value can be enhanced. In my view, this is an approach which is not mutually exclusive with the biofortification approach, but needs as much attention as the biofortification approach. And I will try to discuss the impact of that. But before that, I want to introduce a technology platform. One of the technology platforms, there are many ways of doing this, but one of the potent or powerful technology platforms which can be leveraged to achieve this end. And what I will also try to do is give you two illustrative examples of how we can address the protein deficiency problem, about which Professor Swaminathan also highlighted in his inaugural lecture. We can address those and address it effectively in a country like India. So what is the technology platform? I am going to talk about RNAi, or RNA interference. This doesn't work, the slide mover, doesn't matter. So you all know about the central dogma of biology, right? You know, you have the DNA of the gene. From the gene, there is a transcription or there's an intermediary called an RNA or a ribonucleic acid, I think it's fine. Okay. RNA, which is again translated into the protein. You can see the left panel. So if you knock out the gene, if you want to reduce some component within it, let us say it's an anti-nutritional factor or whatever, you can knock out the gene. And then there will be no expression of the protein, which means the outcome or the variety or something will not be producing that protein. See, Professor Swaminathan and many others contributed to the green revolution by leveraging what is called the high-yielding dwarf varieties. Now, in those dwarf varieties, a gene called, particularly in rice, if I take an example, a dwarfing gene, a variety which was called Wu gen, there was a spontaneous mutation or a gene was knocked out in that Wu gen, it became DGO Wu gen. And that gene, the dwarfing gene, was used to breed into the various varieties to develop the high-yielding dwarf varieties. Today we know that a gene which was involved in gibberellin sensitivity, gibberellin, which is a plant hormone responsible for elongation of the internodes, has been affected or has been knocked out. So these plants, the internodal length will be short and they will remain short. The biomass will not be affected. So you can accumulate more biomass without the plants lodging. So that's, I'm not getting into that in detail. So that was the technique by which you can knock out a gene. More recently, people have leveraged a natural mechanism. See, we are all the time bombarded. Any organism is bombarded by foreign nucleic acids. So there can be double-stranded nucleic acids. So within us, within the higher organisms, there are mechanisms by which if there is an intruding nucleic acid, it is chopped off by a system called RNA interference. Now we call it RNA interference. You can mimic that system by introducing a double-stranded RNA into the plant system, and thereby any gene of interest can be knocked off. I am trying to make it very simple. Now I hope some of you take note and ask questions so that I will have more time to explain this during the question answer session. Now, what we try to do experimentally is try to introduce inverted repeat DNA. You know that DNA can pair when they are complementary, the bases are complementary to each other. So when an inverted DNA is introduced to the system, they naturally become a double-stranded RNA, and that RNA will trigger the RNAi response. It's working? Okay, it will trigger the RNA. Sure. This time out, huh? So this will trigger the RNAi response. Now, some of you students there may be very familiar with this, I am sure. So, see, this is not, okay, got used to it. So this is not actually something which is up in the air or esoteric. These are all being practiced. In fact, today we have got newer generations of gene editing technology, the CRISPR-Cas, about which the chairman just mentioned in his opening. So, in fact, our experience in metahelix with this technology first came when we tried to knock out the lignin from Lolium perennae. It was a project for the New Zealand Dairy Board, so that you make the grass, the Lolium perennae or the perennial ryegrass, more nutritious to the cattle. Now, this is a more recent experiment which we did, where we tried to knock out the gene of the fungal pathogen of rice, Magnaportha oryzae, which causes blast disease. And you can see the effect of that. This is a nursery where we have planted, this is again containment experiment. We still don't have permission to take it out into the field. So this is before the spray of the pathogen spores. And you can say after the spray, after 25 days of spraying, you can see the control Co39, which is a highly susceptible variety, is all dead. But the ones which are carrying the RNAi system are surviving like normal. So this is not kind of something which is futuristic, or is not Star Wars that we are talking about. This is reality and down on the ground. How can we leverage it? And I am going to use two examples to illustrate something that we can do to address the protein deficiency system in this country and maybe in the world. We all have heard about cotton, and I am sure all of you have heard about BT cotton. India is the largest grower of cotton. We produce about 35 million bales of lint, which is each bale is about 170 kg. So when we talk about the total lint, about 6 million tons of lint is produced. But we also produce about 9 to 10 million tons of the cotton seed. Of course, we do extract the oil out of it. About 1.5 million tons of oil from the BT cotton seeds is into our food chain. It is the vegetable oil that we consume. But what do we do about the meal? You know, that meal is really rich in protein. It is as good as peanuts. It is as good as some of the pulses, or even better, 23%. But we can't consume it, or the monogastric animals and humans cannot consume it, because it contains a principle called gossipol. This gossipol is supposed to be cardio and hepatotoxic terpenoid, and therefore the seeds are unfit for consumption. Now, it was more than a decade ago that a group in Texas A&M University, the group was headed by an Indian origin scientist. There are many Indians in that group, including Dr. Sunil Kumar. Now, what they did was, there is a, if you look at the gossipol biosynthetic pathway, there is one enzyme here, cadenine synthase. If you can knock out this enzyme, then the gossipol synthesis is severely inhibited, and you can actually, this particular precursor is required for chlorophyll and carotenoids, and the pathway can be fluxed towards chlorophyll and carotenoids. So you can effectively knock out gossipol, and you can do it in a tissue-specific manner. There are natural variants, mutants, which contain less gossipol, but the problem is gossipol is important for the plant. It helps it to ward off the insects and some of these disease pests. So if you knock it out entire plant, what happens is it becomes more susceptible. It will be difficult to grow the plant. But here you can, because by using the promoter systems or the gene systems which allow expression in a tissue-specific manner, you can knock out the gossipol. Let me share some of the results of that experiment. You see, this is the cotton seed. Now, this is the normal cotton seed, or what we call as the wild type. You can see the gossipol glands there, the amount of gossipol, and some of the T2 segregating lines where the gene is present in a homozygous condition. The levels of these glands is much reduced. The absolute amounts you see, more than 100-fold reduction. From 10.4, it's 0.2% of what is there in the wild type. So this could be much below the toxic level, and this is done in a tissue-specific manner, only in the seed. And the plant itself, the leaves contain as much gossipol to prevent the infestation by pathogens or pests. Now, what is the impact of this? I think I will spend about a minute or two talking about the impact. I have nearly 3 minutes. So second example, I will try to reduce it. What is the impact of this? See, we produce pulses, the main source of protein in this country. Of course, there's a small proportion provided by animal protein, but much of it comes from vegetarian sources, which is pulses. The total production in the country of pulses is about 20 million tons, around 20 million tons. During the Kharif season, we produce about 5 million tons of pulses. The rest is about, or 7 million tons, the rest 13 million is produced during the Rabi season. Now imagine the cotton lint production I told you is 35 million bales of 170 kg, which means the lint production is about 6 million tons. That means a back of envelope calculation tells you that the total cotton seed production in the country is close to 9 to 10 million tons, just because of the presence of this anti-nutritional factor, which is gossipol. Can we leverage technology to reduce the content of gossipol in the cotton seed, so that now through the child feeding program or the midday meal was removed by different states from the midday meal program because of the high cost and the lack of availability. So can this help address the protein deficiency? Now people often try to compare your conventional breeding with these new technologies. I think we need to, there is no either or, they are not mutually exclusive. You need to use them as appropriate. Now tissue-specific modification of the gossipol content can be achieved through a technology platform like RNAi, and when it is applicable, you should apply it. If you talk about complete elimination, you can use a conventional method. There is no question of saying that this is better than other. The problems are so huge that we need to have a multi-pronged strategy. Now, coming to Lathyrus sativus, I am sure many of you have heard about Kesari dal, very, very rich climate-smart pulse species. It can grow in very marginal conditions, and if you look at the protein content, you have significantly high levels of protein compared to many of the pulses. The reason why it is not popular or it cannot be put into the system is because it also contains a toxin which causes paralysis. Now if you look at red gram or the arhar gram, the sambar dal versus that, they look very similar. In fact, sometimes the kesari dal is used to adulterate the arhar dal. But the problem is if you consume it too much and consistently consume it, it can lead to what is called letharism, which leads to a paralysis. Now we know the main principle which is responsible for this letharism. To give you a short form of it, you call it oxalyl diaminopropionic acid, but ODAP is an easier way to remember it. Now we know the biosynthetic pathway of this one, and there is a very major enzyme which is called Cas, which is involved in driving the precursor to this ODAP route. So we can use a similar technology to address. Now what do you actually achieve by this? I think some research is going on in the Indian Institute of Science and a few other centers, but we need to really accelerate some of these things so that we get a result where kesari dal becomes a regular part of the pulse diet. If you do that, it can address issues of climate change, it can address issues of protein malnutrition, it can become as freely, it can be used as we use arhar dal or other things. I am not saying that it should replace, but we always need multiple dals, or when we talk about diversifying the things in our food plate, I think this is one of the options. When we talk about these technologies, my last slide, yes, 10 minutes, I'm exceeding by about 30 seconds. When we talk about some of these technologies, I think many of these people's antennas suddenly go up. You have articles in newspaper. Today you see in Deccan Herald, I saw Vandana Shiva's article, stop GM mustard, and then most of the article is bashing Monsanto. I don't know what Monsanto has to do with it. But let me tell you, friends, I think we are talking about technology. Technology is a tool. If we use it responsibly, then we can address all these issues. Like Professor Swaminathan said in his inaugural talk, he alluded to it. We need to have proper systems by which technology comes in time, in a proper way, with the confidence of the people. So we need to fight the real enemy. And let me leave you with this statement of mine, which is actually, I have rephrased a popular quote by one of the former presidents of the United States, who is also a peanut farmer. So this is my statement, I have rephrased it. Poverty, hunger and malnutrition are the real enemies, not technology. Thank you very much, friends.
A brief introduction about Mr. Raseshvili. He is currently an independent corporate consultant to few Indian corporate companies, international agencies, and presently based in Hungary. He is responsible for successfully biofortifying pearl millet with iron as a part of a Harvest Plus program. It's a CGIAR program. Until November 2015, he was the president, business head of the Nirmal Seeds in India, and later a consultant to Asia Strategic Alliances of Harvest Plus, Washington, D.C. With this introduction, I leave the floor to.
I will try to restrict myself in 6 minutes. Is that okay? Because I prepared some slides, and with last 3 days so much bombarding of knowledge and information, I am confused what to do. And I'm really speaking like that because for the reason that now I am no more a scientist. I have been working in extension, communication and strategic planning of private sector organizations, engaged with public and private sector organizations, and mainly working for collaborative work on a global platforms. And since my last 3 decades career, I have understood one thing, and that is I individually cannot do much because of the super magnet like Professor Swaminathan, we all are here. And these kind of super magnets you don't get every time on this planet. So we have a lot of responsibility as an individual scientist, extension worker, communication expert, anywhere you are working. Right now, I don't represent any organization, but that has made me more fortunate that I represent many organizations now. Because I am associated with Queensland University of Technology, Australia, associated with University of Debrecen in Hungary, getting associated with ICAR-CTCRI, associated with Swaminathan Foundation. And my major role I am trying to now do is whatever is available on the technology side, we need to scale it up. So as a government earlier worker, as an assistant conservator of forest, I worked with a government agency. Yesterday I was talking to Dr. Rao last evening, and I said I could understand little dynamics of the government working. Then working with corporates, I could understand what is the meaning of profit and a bottom line. And then working with NGO, when I started my career with BIF, with Manibhai Desai, with Dr. N.G. Hegde in 1985, I could realize that something needs to be more socially responsible. So what I decided, out of my 25, 26 slides, I will present only 4 slides today. And that's it. Because my first 6, 7 slides were related to the information which in last 3 days most of you have heard about biofortification, then pulses, population, cereals, the cost and staple. And I only believe one thing, by biofortification is not a silver bullet. We need to do a lot of things together to intervene the nutrition aspect. So I said I will present only one part of a success story which I was dealing. And when Professor Swaminathan especially came in 2012, when I was the president and CEO of Nirmal Seeds, and I was engaged in Harvest Plus Challenge program, in a brief introduction it was told, you get some amount of seed from organizations like ICAR-CTCRI. Technology is available. Who will scale it up? Some private sector organization has to commit socially responsibly to make it available to the farmers. Otherwise, all is good here. So I decided, taking that responsibility, when Professor Swaminathan visited, and there was only 177 tons of a seed that we could produce in 2012-13, and in 11-12 we had only, you will be surprised to note that we had only 10 kg of seeds we got from ICAR-CTCRI, and that was ICTP, which was a public domain material, which was turned out to be ICTP FE, iron biofortified material. And in this year, I am not with Nirmal Seeds now, but in an advisory capacity I still do, we have produced more than 1,000 metric tons of seed biofortified pearl millet, which has produced more than 5,000 truckloads of grain, which has gone into the market. Now here is a technology intervention, and I was discussing, neither the farmer is getting the premier price because it is biofortified, because iron is an invisible trait, nor the consumer is aware that he is consuming biofortified pearl millet. We need to tag it, and we need to have some kind of an arrangement for coding that particular material so that the farmer and consumer, both the ends, can get the benefit of this biofortified pearl millet. So this was one slide. And now this particular slide I want to highlight because you have yesterday and day before seen Dr. Maria talking about orange sweet potato from Mozambique, and you have not seen her in this dress. Actually, this is her normal dressing, and she is really a orange lady. I have been associated with her for last so many years working on biofortification program, and myself, Howdy and Maria went to 10 Downing Street during 2012 Hidden Hunger and especially Hunger event, which was attached to Olympic London, and in 10 Downing Street we did some presentation. Why I am showing this specific slide is, you do a lot of work. You need to reach to the proper level to make it feasible, possible for funding, technology intervention, and public motivation that people should deal with this kind of attitude, approach. And I am really fascinated for last 8-9 years when I am associated with Maria, that passion that she has in the fingers and the body and the clothing and this thing. Are we really passionate that much to do this work? And I developed that passion only because of professor, because working in a private sector, you develop a passion only for profit. Socially responsibly making that profit is more important. So this was the second slide which I wanted to explain, that we need more people like Maria to deal with this. And then with this kind of a mainstreaming, I was associated, and I am associated now with ICAR-CTCRI for a smart food concept which we are trying to develop in European Union, with some kind of an association, especially working for the global aspects of addressing the issue of this smart food, good for you, good for planet, and good for farmer. And this I have taken from Joanna's some presentation and from the websites, and I am working closely with Joanna for that project. So I am not going to spend time on this, but this is the slide which I want to spend time, and then I will take only last 30 seconds to address it. Finally, when we talk about all these issues, we need to decide who is our target audience and who is the target consumer who will be addressed by. And University of Debrecen, we are working especially on this particular thing, and we have named it as a LOHAS, LOHAS, lifestyle of health and sustainability, by professionals. This is called as a LOHAS target group, when they consider all three pillars of sustainable development: economic, social and ecological. And this particular target group, unless you address, especially for the malnutrition and hidden hunger issues, we cannot really target the poor, because poor follow the methodology since last 2 days you have been discussing. If they get money, they are not interested in millets, they are interested in Maggi. So unless this LOHAS group starts consuming the products which we are addressing, we are not going to address the issues of poor. So I am trying to link the market groups, consumer linkages in Europe for the African products and also for the Asian products, especially through this kind of a work which Joanna, myself and University of Debrecen are trying to do with other partners. So my message would be, unless we work together on the global platforms to be together and be together with this kind of a super magnet, then only we can be socially responsible to deliver this thing. I hope I finished it in really 6 minutes. Thanks for patient listening. I'll be happy to answer some questions if you have. And if you have some kind of collaborations that you want to do and scale up your technology, I will be very happy to do it on the global platform. Thanks for patient listening.
Time. In fact, now the floor is where there are many exciting things that have been told, starting from a technology point of view, to processing, to delivery, to communication. So lots of areas are open to you for questions. Please. Can you please also take the name or to the entire panel,
You will agree with me that the number of flushes in harvesting of the crop need to be reduced against the millets, because the cost of harvesting is also a matter of concern. Instead of having a 5-6 harvest flush, we have it in 1 or 2 flushes, less money by the farmer spending in harvest cost. I am not sure whether I am intelligent enough to put the question to you. The second question, clarification from Dr. Archana. See, China is the largest producer of sweet potato. Our yield levels are just 1/3 of what China can produce. I am impressed about your presentation on OFSP, followed by, presented by Dr. Maria. Now, do we have a technology or a mission how to take large quantities of quality planting material of sweet potato to the interior areas? Because this is a vegetatively proper crop. If you have an idea on this, I would like to know about. Thank you.
We really take into account. I think it is a single harvest we do it. But as you see the cropping system in tribal areas, it is the mix of many millets. That's where you find different flushes. So what is required there is to tell them the real agronomic management of putting the things in a different perspective. Even though different millets are together, they should be in different patches so that they get harvested in a single flush. So otherwise, it's a single flush harvest of in any millet put together.
The China and then India, we are in the 7th position as far as volume of production is concerned. And yes, that is a very crucial question, and we are working on it. And government of Odisha, this way I should appreciate, with these good varieties and this, they have come forward with a big budget project with our concept of seed village and contract farming. We are offering them the foundation seed, and with the certification and the identified farmers and seed villages, we are going for sweet potato value chain, starting from production of planting material to the all domain of value chain we are taking forward. This is, I hope I have answered your question.
I am Suresh from IARI, New Delhi. My question is to Tonapi sir. Sir, you were mentioning that the yield gap in the case of millets is to the tune of something around 50%. That is one of the very high magnitude. So what are the strategies that you could identify to solve this yield gap issue?
So there are 2 strategies basically. This gap in production and productivity is basically because
In all the millet ecosystems, the seed available is mostly the farmer saved seed. There is no intervention on the part of the seed enterprise which is producing the seed and selling it there. So what is really needed at this point of time is, when we are federating the farmer, also we need to federate the community seed systems which are sustainable, which cater to the needs of the village clusters there. If a varietal replacement with a better variety can happen with the community seed system. I think we will bridge this gap, number one. Number two is better agronomic management. It is still a lot of mixed farming that happens. So the improved agronomy can really improve the productivity by 20-25%. So this is where we feel the initial interventions need to happen at the outset. So remaining things can follow in a different way. Thank you.
We've had many good ideas and presentations over the past couple of days. But one of the things that also came up is the fact that even if everything else is available, people have Maggie. I mean, that also came up in this session. So the interesting point about this whole Maggie concept that has come up is, if we can just flip the question back, how do we do a Maggie with nutrition? Does anybody on the panel?
I think the noodles as Maggie, there are already the millet noodles available. Only thing is the way it needs to take up from that platform to popularize. Maggie did not happen overnight. It is the kind of advertisement and things that was repeated in the media that made it a Maggie. Suppose if we can make it a millet Maggie and we can spend that much money and entrepreneurs and a range of entrepreneurs coming in, there is no question that why millet Maggie cannot be famous as the normal Maggie.
Thank you. To Dr. Narayanan, you mentioned about the process of taking out gossypol from cotton seed, but what are still need for safeguarding and whether it is, safe enough to bring it to the food chain. To Jagannath, if I'm telling your name correctly, you very insightfully told us about varieties of machineries that you have developed. And it is so heartening to hear this. What has been your process of bringing it to the common people? And my one connected query to both of you, Narayanan and to Dr. Wele, is that you are referring to the way in which the private sector can develop a socially responsive way of being with this challenge, especially Dr. Wele, if you kindly elaborate how your own passion for profit has been transformed with a new sense of social and global responsibility.
Now, I just want to use this opportunity to say we need an extremely efficient and a fast, time-bound regulatory system in this country. When we talk about regulatory system, I actually think about the good, efficient brake system in some of the modern automobiles. Now, you may be wondering what I am hinting at. The brake system in an automobile, if you all think, is to stop the car, then I think you are looking at it wrongly. I believe that the brake system or an efficient brake system in a modern car is to make sure that the car travels faster. If you have a good brake system, you can travel much faster without getting into problems. So our regulatory system should not act as a brake system which actually stops everything and then sits on it. Then it actually is making sure that the relevance of the regulatory system is not there at all if it does that. It should make sure that things happen fast, it should be efficient, make sure that you negotiate a path where you don't hit or bang yourself against dangerous things. All these systems need to be, all these concerns of people need to be addressed in a credible way. Thank you.
Regarding the machinery fabrication, what we do prior to the designing a machine, we see what is the actual function of that equipment. For example, in Korapattu village, we were seeing ladies are using for the parboiling, small unit. So we designed according to their efficiency, how they can handle, a lady can handle a parboiling unit. That was my concept, and this has to be easily moved out. That machine has to be easily moved, and then it has to be placed in a very short area, and that has to be fabricated in that area, and facilities within the village level. That was our concept. So one was that low friction huller and parboiling unit, and now that onion processing unit. So we want to improve the livelihood in both ways. The younger generation can fabricate the machine there itself. If there is any problems are arising, they can address that. Most of the machines which we design, is only that mechanic or some company has to come and give a maintenance. We are not looking into like that. We train the youth in that village to fabricate, to design any maintenance, any problems arising, they can address themselves, and within that village level they can do. So this is the designs which we have done, and especially for the onions now at 28th we are launching that, and you can come and see that at Perambalur. We have been planning to do that. It's a value chain project.
One very important issue is I'm not talking about corporate social responsibility and CSR anything. I'm just talking about socially responsible business. Why it came like that in my mind, in 2009 and 2012, I had a lot of interactions with Professor Swaminathan. And when he visited us as a private sector organization, he made one very alarming statement at 5:45 in the morning, and that changed my perspective. He said, Ashish, if you want a sustainable development, sustainability does not mean it is not profitable. If it needs to be sustainable, it needs to be profitable also. But profitability means legitimacy and transparency. And that statement made me more responsible that making profit also means sustainable. So in a corporates, normally in a private sector, what is being talked only is about profit. So I got associated with the global programs, and I could understand that you become more responsible in delivering the social things by way of which you are responsible for doing the things transparently with the society. Thanks.
To all the speakers and also those people who asked the questions, which are very, very, pointed out. This session is on technology interventions, and what we learned is technology intervention is not genetic improvement, genetics and breeding, or using some biotechnology. Technology intervention is all along the value chain, starting from improvement of crops towards the biofortification, to remove the anti-nutritional factors, to intervene in the processing technology, to also in formulating and branding technology. Technology is also required for communication, for creating awareness. Even technology is important for the entire integrated value chain. At every point of the value chain, you have to have technology of one form or other. So, to take care of this technology, policy and regulation are important two elements. If there is no political will that nutrition should be addressed holistically rather than just by chemical fortification. So one of the things which is very important to all of you is that, all the chemically fortified food, the basic chemicals are coming from many of these multinationals and very, very high exorbitant costs. And this, nobody realizes. If you say that it is enriched with vitamin A, carotenoid, that, this, for all some synthetic products, which are even our own millets are being exported, and they are put into many products we don't even know. So therefore, policy and regulation and claim verification and branding, because my basic job is regulation and safety, so I feel that this area is also important. And in policy, safety assessment and regulation also, a lot of technology is involved. Technology to assess the safety, technology to regulate and everything. The last and important thing is, I think if the farmer does not find it profitable to grow, because in the golden rice scenario, we always thought, what is the benefit to the farmer if carotenoid is increased? An agronomic trait is important for him. So in fact, this is why Professor Swaminathan, even long ago, I think it is now 2 decades or so, he told in that meeting, in the same premises, that put it in a variety which is already been commercialized. So try to move the genes into those varieties where the acceptance is very high. So it is a 2-in-1 system, So we have done in some cases, and these crops are moved, these genes are moved into mega varieties, and mega varieties are being accepted by people. Indirectly you are supplying anyway. Those varieties are popular, so you are also giving iron rich or zinc rich. Now the finally more important message to carry home is that no technology is to be taken on granted. No technology should be hated. What our Narayanan said, the transgenic versus conventional, genetic engineering versus non-genetic engineering. I think that distinction we should remove from our mind. What is more important? What is safe to environment, public health, as well as to the ecosystems? If you assess properly, I don't think there is a room for a technology to be promoted, a technology to be degraded or demolished. So I think that this session was, it highlighted that the technologies are important throughout the value chain. Thank you very much.